Hey all you action figure enthusiasts out there, JC here with another TNI toy review. And today's review is in association with JediInsider.com, your #1 news source for everything Star Wars. And for today's review, I'm going to be taking a look at the brand new Star Wars The Black Series 6-inch Deluxe Dewback with Desert Stormtrooper figure from Hasbro. Now this set comes in a box, a Black Series box like we generally see with these deluxe figures. Up in the top corner you've got the Black Series logo, then you've got an image of the Dewback and the Sandtrooper riding on top of it, and then you have some additional images of the actual Dewback toy itself, and then off to the side you've got the figure clearly displayed in the window packaging. On the side you've got that red border and it tells us this is number 4 in the series. So just in case you lost track, for these deluxe figures we had the Wampa with Luke Skywalker, Hoth Luke Skywalker, the Tauntaun with Hoth Han Solo, and then the speeder bike with the Biker Scout. And then this is the 4th one in that series. On the back of the packaging we have more images of the Dewback and the figure. And then off to the side we've got a brief bio for both the Sandtrooper and the Dewback in multiple languages. Alright, let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the Dewback and the figure outside the packaging along with the other contents. Now we'll start off looking at the figure, and this is the same figure that we've gotten previously a couple times in the Black Series line. We've seen this figure, same accessories for the most part. So you got the shoulder pad, and this one is done with a gray color. However, it's got a lot of dirt on it, a lot of sand dirt, so it's almost more brown than it is gray. And then you've got a lot more dirt on the figure itself than what we've seen previously. I mean, they had dirt on the other ones, but this one seems to be the dirtiest of them all. You've got, some brown here on his chest, and his helmet's covered in brown. And he's got, again, the shoulder pad is almost more brown than gray. It's on his belt, down his legs and everything. So again, the same figure, but definitely a little more dirty, at least on the front. Now on the back side he's actually pretty clean. There's very little dirt on the back side of the figure, a little bit down here on the bottom of his feet, but he's definitely much more clean on the back, which I gotta say is kind of funny. I would think he would be dirty just as much on the back as on the front. And the figure comes with the same kind of backpack that we saw with the previous Desert Stormtroopers. So you've got the white and the blue and the black, and you got this little strap piece. So again, this is exactly the same thing that we've seen with the previous ones. And you've got the little peg there, so you got the hole in the back here, and you can attach it. You want to make sure you do this little strap up over the shoulder, but then you just plug it in and it should fit in there pretty tight for the most part. Now the backpack's kind of heavy, so it does make, these backpacks tend to make the figure kind of top heavy, but again, if you have the previous Desert Stormtroopers, you're used to that already. He also comes with this big blaster rifle. Sorry, I don't know the official name of it, but you do see it in the movie, and it's nice and long and done with just a black plastic. It's got this little stand here on the front, but it's not articulated. You can't pull it down or anything. It's just one piece. And again, it seems to be pretty movie accurate. And then the final accessory that comes with the figure is this prod thing that you see the rider of the Dewback in the movie have. I guess he uses this to kind of control the animal. I don't know if it's an electric rod or something like that, but this is just done with a black plastic, and you got the little knob here on the end. And then on this side you've got some sculpting detail, and it's kind of pointy. And you can see it's very tall. It's even taller than the figure itself. And the figure stands just a little bit over 6 inches tall. And here's a comparison of 2 other Desert Troopers that have been released in the Black Series line. You've got the one with the orange shoulder pad and one with the black. And you can see out of these 3, the dirt definitely shows up the most on the new one. Now, articulation is the same that we've seen on the other Desert Troopers and other Stormtroopers for that matter. You can turn the head to the left and to the right, and can look down about that much and can look up about that much. You get a little bit of head pivot with these. Arms attached with your standard ball hinge joint, but they have these shoulder pads, so you really can't get the arms out very much on these. You've got good rotation there at the arm. You've got a bicep swivel. You get a double hinge type elbow, so you can bend that much, and then you get rotation with the hands and hinges on the hands, so up and down movement with the wrists. Then you get that midsection joint, so you've got rotation there at the midsection. You can also pivot to the left and the right. You don't get much in the way of crunch forward movement, and can look back about that much. You do not get a waist swivel with these. With the legs, can only do the splits about that much. Can get the leg forward pretty good, and really can't do the leg back very much. You do have a thigh swivel up high there. You've got a double double jointed knee, so it can bend the knee about that much, and then hinges on the feet, so up and down movement, and you do get ankle pivot with these, and 2 peg holes on the bottom of the feet. Okay, now for the Dewback. So first of all, the Dewback just comes with this removable saddle, and honestly I don't really know why they made the saddle removable. It doesn't really seem to add anything to the toy. You still have this under saddle that's sculpted on there. You've got the reins, which aren't really made to be removed, and then you've got this big hole on the top, so it looks funny when you don't have the saddle actually on the figure. And then it can be kind of tricky actually getting the saddle on there and getting it to stay tight. The best way I found to do it is to kind of start by angling the saddle towards the back, and then just kind of wedge this front piece down, and it'll click into place. But again, it can be kind of tricky, and if you don't get it in there just right, it won't stay on the Dewback very well. So again, you want to make sure you kind of snap it into place, and once you do that, then it should stay on there pretty good. For the Dewback itself, I think Hasbro's done a pretty good job overall with the sculpting detail and paint applications. It seems to be pretty movie accurate. I like how they've done the darker greens on the top, and then it gets lighter towards the bottom. Also, I like how they've sculpted the scales throughout the figure, and you get different size scales, like a little bit bigger on the top of the head, and then it gets smaller here towards the bottom, and then it's bigger here. The scales around his mouth are definitely bigger, and then you get, I don't know if this is like a mane or something, but definitely have a different sculpting pattern here on the top. I've never noticed that in the movie, and you also back here on the back side as well. So I'm assuming that's movie accurate, and I like how they've done the feet. You got the 3 toes on the front with the claws, which are done with the dark gray, and then you have this back toe, which I've never noticed before, but each foot has a back toe that is kind of pointing inwards. I'm guessing, you know, to give the beast stability. Definitely kind of interesting. And then on the underside, you've got the white, or it's kind of a greenish white color. So again, pretty accurate, and you even have scales and everything sculpted on the bottom, which is nice. Same with the tail. You've got scales sculpted throughout the tail and everything. You've got these reins. Most of the reins are actually a separate piece, though they're not meant to be removed. You can't just pull them out. If you really wanted to get them off, you probably could find a way to get them off, but they didn't make it so you could take the reins off. And then this one that goes around his neck is actually sculpted on the figure, so you can't actually remove that one. I also like the eyes. I think the eyes look very reptilian, and you've got the nostrils and everything. So again, nice sculpting detail with the head. And then you can actually open the mouth, and you've got some nice detailing in there. I don't know how well it's going to show up in camera, but he does have an articulated tongue that you can do up and down. So, you know, and some teeth. He's got some teeth sculpted in there, and you got some wash effect on the tongue. So you got some darker pinks and then lighter pink colors. And even here, like with his mouth on the side, you got some nice detailing. The saddle is also pretty nicely detailed. Definitely looks like a leather saddle. You've got some lighter browns on the saddle bags, a wash effect to give it that kind of leather look. Also, you've got some sculpting detail with the line work there. And then you've got this thing on the back. I don't know if it's like a sleeping bag or something along those lines, but you know, rolled up here on the back with the straps and everything. So again, seems to be pretty movie accurate for the most part. And the Dewback is fairly well articulated, so you've got articulation with the head. I already told you about the jaw. You can open the mouth, and you've got the articulated tongue that you can do up and down. And then you can turn the head, and you can do the head up and down a little bit and back and forth. So you get pretty good movement there with the head. And then you also get movement with the tail back here, so you can wag the tail back and forth. You really, I guess you get a little bit of up and down movement with the tail. Now, unlike the original toy, you know, when you move the tail, it doesn't move the head or anything like that, so they're not connected, but both are articulated. And then with the feet and the legs, you get articulation, so each leg is done, or at least the front legs are done with ball hinge joints, so you can do the legs out and back a little bit, and then forward and backwards, so you get movement there. You got like a elbow type joint, so you get rotation there, and you can bend there. And then you've got hinges on the actual feet, so you actually get pivot with the front feet here, and you get up and down movement there. And then you get toe articulation with the front feet. You get toe articulation with the back feet as well. You also get the knee articulation, and you get the rotation there. Now, it doesn't look like that the actual back legs you can do, they're not attached with ball hinge joints, so you just get the back and forth movement with the back legs, but you don't get the out movement with those. Now, to put the figure on this, you just set him on top of the saddle. There's no stirrups or anything to put the feet into, so it does fit there kind of loosely. I mean, it fits pretty good, but when you start shaking him around, you might find that the Sandtrooper has a tendency to kind of fall off. so just be wary of that. Also, he holds this prod thing better in the left hand, and then the rein better in the right hand. The right hand's really too wide to hold this thing. It'll slide around. So this is the best way to kind of display the figure. Now I will say that when you have him on top here, the Dewback actually ends up looking off a little bit on the small side, at least compared to how they appeared in the movie, just going off the top of my head from my memory. It's not too bad, but just, you know, when I have him looking like this, I feel like maybe the Dewback is a little bit on the small side. And then the Dewback measures, his width is, if you count the tail to the tip of his nose, is right around, I'm going to say, about a little over 13.5 inches, and then his height, the Dewback itself, is a little bit under 6 inches. With the saddle, it comes up to about 6.5, and then with the figure on top, it is about 9.5 inches. Here's a comparison with the Black Series Tauntaun figure that Hasbro released. Okay, so that's my review. So overall, I would say I like the paint detail, I like the sculpting detail, I like things like the articulated tongue. The Desert Trooper is just a reissue of the previous one we got with some different paint deco, so nothing terribly different with that. But overall, you know, it's not a bad set. My biggest complaints, I would say the Dewback maybe looks a hair small when you have the figure riding on top. Also, I could see those foot joints. They're already kind of loose on the figure, and so over time, I could see that becoming an issue, making it harder for the Dewback to actually stand. But still, for the most part, if you're a fan of the Dewbacks and like the scenes with them in A New Hope, I think you'll definitely want to check this set out. Now, the official release date for this set, I believe, is April 13th, but some stores have started to release it early. We'll have a full image gallery up at JediInsider.com. There'll be a link in the video description below. As always, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. Also, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button down below. I'd really appreciate it. You can also follow me on my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch accounts. I have links to those in the video description as well. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you later.